Good day. This is Al Kleiss, joined with Bob Linneman with the weekly Soy Market Watch, and this is week 7. It's really went fast, and we've had some very active, volatile weeks. We're doing this on Tuesday after the Memorial Day holiday. So thanks for tuning in. And if you like this, please let the staff or any of the directors at the Iowa Soybean Association know. Bob and I are both Series 3 commodity brokers, so anytime we do a presentation, we need to do the standard risk disclosure statement. You may have now seen this for 7 weeks in a row. What I have highlighted in red is really what I need to emphasize when I'm doing these programs. Number one is that you can lose money trading futures and options. I'm talking about risk management, but I have to always do this, include this. Then the last sentence in the last paragraph, the opinions expressed or the opinions of the author only, not the opinion of any firm the author may be affiliated associated with. So think of it as Team Kleiss, and it does not represent what Wedbush thinks. Again, we're going to go through what happened last week, where we are versus last year, the main factors to watch this week, chart analysis, and then I think it's been very popular with some of the phone calls coming in. What are some of my updated price and time cycles? Give you some very specific targets. Last week, if you're farming in Iowa, we had a very good week, but we continue to see problems and delays. Eastern Corn Belt and Delta are falling behind, and they had 2 to 4 inches of rain last week across many of the areas south of I-70. The report last Monday from USDA showed that we still have 21 million acres of corn, 28 million acres of soybeans, and I'm thinking report today we're really going to be focusing on what happened in Missouri, Illinois, Ohio is way behind, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas. And so the major soybean production area, about 20% that's falling behind. Last Thursday, oh wow, the corn exports have been huge, 1.7 million metric tons. And what this is going to result in, I think, the USDA will be forced to again raise exports and cut ending stocks. Soybeans were right at the pace we needed to. And so I think, again, we may see the USDA in the June supply demand reports need to take soybean exports up, ending stocks down. For the week, beans closed 10 cents higher, choppy week of trade. We rallied into Friday. Then we had the announcement of Trump putting the tariffs back on the EU, and that took the stock market sharply lower and took the grain and took soybeans lower. Right now, it's very interesting. Corn closed 16 cents higher, and funds are now short over 100,000 contracts of corn. And that was as of last Tuesday. So I'm going to guess right now they're short 120 or 30 contracts of corn, and the corn market's been hanging there pretty tough. It just does not go down even when you throw negative news at it. It'll go down 3-4 cents during the day, Bob, like today, but doesn't stay down. And then Trump announced over the weekend, the long weekend, that he's going to delay tariffs on the EU until July 9th. And I think this is probably going to get them real serious about coming into the table. Again, I always like to look at the US dollar index. It's trading a little bit higher on Tuesday, but still down below par. And Bob, that resistance, I've got the 2-week high up there, but you said the moving averages you work with are all kind of between 101 and 102.
Yeah, on the high end, Al, and last week we did dip below the 20-day moving average. So now what was support is going to become resistance on the daily chart. So right to today, I mean the dollar's up a little bit, but right at 100.00 is the 20-day moving average on the daily chart. So above that, you're looking at the 50-day just underneath 101. It's 100.95. So a couple of key targets. If it rebounds, I wouldn't be surprised to see that, but we have to get back above that 20-day if the dollar bulls are really going to try to push things higher.
If I just take a real long-term view of this chart, what I'm seeing is lower lows and lower highs. And if we close below 97, the next support is down at 94. And back in 21, 22, when we had pretty good corn and soybean prices, that's where the dollar is trading down at 94. Now, I'm not suggesting we're going to go back up to those high price levels, but certainly when you look every Monday and every Thursday at our export sales, we are selling a lot of product. Soybeans, I often look at this long-term chart. We had the lows come back in 2019 down at 780. I call this the COVID-19 low at right at 808. And we had a couple of really good years in here, and we've been drifting lower, and we're basing. If we can get over and close above 1073, it's pretty easy for me to project prices back up to 11.80 to $12. And so I'm an optimist on the bean market. Very often I describe a chart as it's bottoming, as putting in a series of M's or W's, and you can really see what a nice W this is in the long-term chart. And also earlier today, we threw some negative news at the bean market, but after going down 4 or 5 cents, we're right back up again. So last week, pretty good day in the commodities market. Corn up 16 cents, beans on the week up 10 cents, and we're seeing now where corn is very close to where it was a year ago. Soybeans about $1.90 cheaper. Kind of weighing on corn prices is the fact that wheat prices are so cheap, and the US dollar down by about 2% last week. What are we going to watch this week? Getting a little frustrated, disappointed. I want to see some trade agreements to be announced. I think India is kind of on pace to be number one. Our major ally trading partner, South Korea, I think will be coming, and Japan finally coming around just in some of the readings that I've been doing, but we need to get some of those announcements made. China talks are ongoing, but we're really not any big announcements yet. Weather, I'm really focusing on the southern Corn Belt and Delta. I talked to a customer in Indiana today, and he had just barely started on corn, and it was raining there as I talked to him. So about 15% of the main corn and soybean areas delayed, and prevent plant starts on May 31st for many of those areas. So unfortunately, I think that's going to have to be developed. Later on Tuesday, we'll get the USDA crop ratings. And last year we were 72 to 73, and I think we're going to be 72, possibly 75 in that report. That the Western Corn Belt, Iowa especially, is looking great, and we have probably above trend line yield potential for corn and certainly for soybeans with all those beans that were planted early in April. Here's my charts. Nice double bottom on the chart at 430. However, if we can get above last week's high at 463, then I think we see resistance up at around 490. And I'm really hoping we can get a rally back up 475 to 490. I think every week for 7 weeks, I've encouraged you to check your cash bid versus your August bid. And what you're going to see is that your corn and soybeans are worth a lot more now than they are if you store up till August. Soybeans, again, I showed the monthly chart. Now this is the weekly chart. You can see the nice W on this chart. And if we can pop here above 1073, ideally a close above 1080, you have resistance then at 1150 and up right at about 1190 to $12. And so the funds reduced their longs last week, but if we get the right action, and do you know where the moving averages cost here, Bobby?
Yeah, yep. They actually are they crossed a week and a half ago, Al. A couple of them did, and then now we're looking at the 50-day. If this market can trend higher, the 50-day is going to cross above the 200-day, and then the 100-day is right there as well. So we've
Wow.
got if we can trend a little bit higher here over the next week to 10 days, we might see those two moving averages cross, which would be pretty friendly and encourage more money flow to the positive side, to the long side of the soybean market.
And we are seeing the May versus November bean spread firm, bull spread, the July versus November, as you call it, the Widowmaker firm. And so again, this sets up a very interesting, only 4 days of trade this week, but where we close on Friday will be important. So my price prospects, I'm looking at last week's high up at 465 and 485. And if you get up to 485, my fear is like last year, we rally the corn futures market and the basis widens out. See good support last week's low at 443 and then at 430, that double bottom. Soybeans, 1073 and then 1098. Well, I'd love to get a rally up to 1090, get some more of those cash beans sold while we still have this nice market inverse. We have really good support at the bottom of that trading channel down at 1046. Looking ahead, this week, May 30, kind of a key week to watch for a change of trend. So again, get the rally, we're going to be selling into it. Long term, I always watch that third week of June as being a key high. quite often. If we rally into June 21, you just about always have to just close your eyes and sell. For July soybeans, this isn't always the case, but we're seeing those two very important dates come in. Bob, any final thoughts?
We've talked about this a couple times, Al, is we be careful that if we do start getting a push higher in prices and then the funds switch their short position to long and you starts generating a little bit more momentum, those elevators may kick out to new crop bids for old crop corn or
Yes.
old crop beans. And the corn is the one that makes me the most nervous, I think. But that is a threatening scenario that we do not want to ignore. We mentioned it at least three, four times here, Al, and I think it's worth mentioning again that uh, be very, very aware of what could happen there if we get caught in that position. So
To me, that's going to happen, Bob. It's just a question of when.
I agree. I agree.
I enjoy having people call in. You can reach me toll free, 888-345-2855. If it's more convenient or you prefer, you can just email my direct email, alan.kleiss@wedbush.com. Feel free to contact me. So again, we're wrapping up week 7. Thank you, a day later than usual. Thanks for the flexibility from the Iowa Soybean Association staff. And if you like these programs, these videos, let the staff and the directors at ISA know. Thank you. Have a good week.